So, is this the first video that I have filmed in my new office space? Like, for real? No. But is it the first one that I'm going to release on YouTube that's like a full-length video and isn't really short and up and down? Probably. Let me tell you what I'm doing. So you can see my hair is in a towel. I just got a shower because I took a lovely bike ride in the rain. Yeah, it was raining the whole time and I didn't actually realize that, so I got soaked and had to hop in the shower right afterward. But that said, it's nice to be outside. It's nice to be riding my bike. It's nice for things to actually feel a little bit more normal. The problem, of course, with that being that I'm just super busy all the time again. It's almost like COVID never happened or something. Of course, it is still happening, so please don't forget that. And if you haven't been vaccinated yet, now is your time so that there aren't any more variants that can actually usurp the vaccines and kill us, because that's the way science works. I am going to do my everyday makeup and I'm going to show you how, actually, I'm going to attempt, and I don't know how it's going to turn out because I've never tried these setting patterns before, but I'm going to attempt this super fun 60s setting pattern because I've been so into the 60s hairstyles recently, especially the early 60s. I'll show you what I'm using recently because it has actually changed since the last time I did a video like this. And let's get into it, shall we? So first things first, I have some new Besame products that I have been using a lot of recently. Both of the tubs look very similar, so I'll just show them together. But we've got vanishing cream and day cream, and I'm going to use a little bit of that all over my face and kind of the front of my neck here on my chest. Basically anywhere that sits above where my collar is on my shirt. The way that I do it is sometimes I dab it all over myself, but other times I will just take a little bit of a scoop of it and then wipe it on my face. Now, I am going to be doing a video at some time in the near future showing you all of the ins and outs of Besame's new skincare products, just because I find it fascinating that someone is actually making these things still. I looked for a number of years in the kind of early internet days for skincare tip, keeping your skin healthy in the same way that our grandmothers did. We were going through this transitionary period beauty-wise where essentially everything was synthetic, I guess is the best word to describe it. Like there would be little micro beads and things that were great for exfoliation, but not so great for the planet. There were a great many different additives that you can sometimes find in cheap drugstore stuff, like parabens, that sort of thing, that are not great for your skin. Alcohol is still a huge one. Alcohol can be very useful for some things, like cleaning. You can use alcohol to disinfect. Of course, we all know this now, right, after the last year. But you can use alcohol to disinfect your skin, but it really doesn't belong in things like moisturizers because it doesn't moisturize your skin. And in fact, if it has alcohol in it as well, it can counteract with that and make it just not as useful. I'm just taking this moisturizer and the vanishing cream and just basically rubbing them all over my skin. And I usually will give my skin a little bit of a massage with this as well. Today I'm doing it kind of on the quick side just so that I can show you how it works. It's all falling out. And I'm gonna let it do just a teeny bit of some more air drying before I put it up in curlers. And we attempt this lovely 60s look here. What I used to do for a number of years is I would just wash my face with regular soap, like a soap bar. Bar soaps last so much longer. Not as many additives to keep it creamy or to keep it smooth. It's just better all around, I think, for my skin at least. You do you. I used to use Vaseline a lot. Now, it used to be said, the Vaseline, and this is true for my skin at least, it worked for me for a number of years. It used to be said that Vaseline could be used both as a moisturizer and also as a cold cream. Now, a cold cream, for those of you who might be unfamiliar, is a cream that you use to wash your face with and to remove makeup with. So the cold cream used to have many different applications, but the big one was cleansing your face. And right now I'm actually still just using a bar of soap to cleanse my face, but when that bar of soap is out, because I am definitely all about using the entire product if you're going to buy some, then I will probably be trying the Besame cold cream as well. We're just not there yet. So you wash your face, You put that Vaseline all over it when it's time for bed. But in the morning, you wash it off, whatever is still there. And sometimes, especially in the dead of winter, it would all be gone on my skin anyway. I wouldn't even have to wash it off. And it kind of just acts as a natural barrier between your skin and the elements. And that's what this is meant to do as well. So now I'm going to put some makeup on. It, just like my skincare routine, has changed ever so slightly. And I will show you what I have been using. But I gotta get it all out first. I am still using this beautiful thing. It is the Sculpture Stick, I believe. Sculpting Touch Stick from Kiko. It's lovely. I still have a lot of it left. I've used it a lot and there's still a lot left. If you've been around here for a little while, then you know that one of the areas that I always feel a little bit weird about is under my chin. I have a little bit of a double chin, especially when I'm on video with you all. So I like to cover that only just enough to where it looks like there is a shadow. Don't want to go too hard on it though, because when I do that, then when I'm off camera, it looks a little bit strange. And if I'm doing everyday wear, that is all I do for contouring, because again, you can go way too heavy on it and then it just doesn't look realistic or like your natural face, and I don't like either of those things. So I try to have a light hand when it comes to contouring. So I have this Sephora Make No Mistake concealer, and it's got this little tip on the very end. And what I do is I just literally let a little bit of it come out, and then I just dot it wherever it needs to go. So under my eyes is always a big place. A little bit of a highlight there. And on here, top of my cheekbones for that highlight. And then anywhere where there are any blemishes, like I tend to have, especially like during that time of the month. I am still using the Kat Von D, and I absolutely love it. The Lock-It foundation. Probably kind of grungy looking makeup. I don't even know what these things are called. What are these things called? Let me know in the comments below. Dotting that around as well, especially like on my T-zone and that sort of thing. And then what I do is I essentially just blend the heck out of everything. And there are very few places where I try to rub the foundation or the concealer in. One place is under my eyes, because I know that those dots will not move themselves. So we want to make sure that there's complete coverage all around the eye. Under my chin, I will just take this contouring and I'll rub it downward, because that lengthens the shadow so that it is all blended nicely. The rest of the contour on top. And it's the same with this. So I'll kind of blend it downward using my sponge and blend it upward as well, so that you can just see that cheekbone. Those are the two places where I really like to rub as opposed to just pat. I just pat and pat and pat everything in until it is all nice and matte and evenly distributed across my face. Okay, one thing that I have done a little bit better on here recently is shaping my eyebrows. And this is unfortunately something that I have to have my mirror in order to do, but I can at least show you. I brushed them up because my eyebrows have always been on the thin side, and no, even though it was very popular, my eyebrows are not thin because I plucked them in the early 2000s or the late 90s. No, they were just always thin like this. So I thickened them up just a little bit with this guy. It is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist, and you can find these pretty much at any drugstore. What I like about it is it has that little brow brush on one side. Just like with the contouring, you can totally go overboard on this, and then it just doesn't look very natural or very nice. So try to just shape them and go with the natural flow of the hair. At least sort of tries to match, but I'm not too concerned if they don't match perfectly. I almost forgot, before I put anything on my lips, I do try to moisturize my lips too. And right now I am actually using something that I found while we were out on Route 66, and it's from the Right Family products. And so it was just made locally and I loved it. It felt really nice on my lips, so I'm working my way through this tub now. But yeah, just like with the rest of your face, it's really important to moisturize your lips before you put anything on them. because that locks in all of that wonderful moisture. Sometimes once I get to this part, especially if I know I'm going to go out and do something like, I don't know, go out to dinner or do something more fun than just hanging around the house, then I will use my palette, make myself look made up. Today though, I'm hanging around the house. It's kind of disgusting outside. It's raining. And so as you can see, my office is a little bit in flux because since we moved, I'm only just now getting to a point where it is somewhat organized, but I need to finish the rest of the organization. And so I think that's a lot of what's gonna happen in the next couple of days. And as a result of that, I don't need a lot of makeup, and I also just kind of need to look like myself, and that's about it. I don't need to be anywhere or do anything specific, so that's what I'm gonna do today. So the one I've been using right now is the Super Slim, and it is another L'Oreal. I am a big fan of L'Oreal when it comes to their drugstore products. I think they're legit. Yeah, they're a little bit pricier than some other drugstore products, but it's well worth it because it makes my skin always feel really nice. And so it's got this really nice slim tip on it, and that makes for a really clean line when you are doing wingtip eyeliner. I can tell that my eyes still need blended a bit. And then I just put the wingtip on, and it's so hard to do this without seeing what you're doing. So if it doesn't quite look right, that's okay. But I essentially pull through like this onto what's already lined. And then I just try to do my best to match it on the other side. Now, this side is usually the one that gives me less trouble than the first side. And I am the kind of person who, if I have a trouble section or side that I am working with when I'm doing makeup, then I will generally do the most problematic one first so that it's easier to match the other side. So this eye always gives me a lot of trouble. It means I do it first so that the other eye make it easier. And that's gonna be good enough for today. Can't forget mascara, because if you do, your face won't look done, and you won't realize that until you're out and around other human beings, and it will be really weird, or at least it usually is when it happens to me. And again, if I were going somewhere fancy, or if I were even taking myself a little bit seriously today, then I would probably try to use some false eyelashes, and I did just buy some, but I will not be doing that today, so rest assured, when I have something exciting to do or somewhere exciting to be, then you will get to see those falsies in all of their glory. Now, a 60s look really depends on eyelashes being very long and kind of straight out. And then finally, the lips. This makes my lips feel so nice, and I really like the color of it as well. So I don't have to reapply it, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm just gonna do a very basic shape of my lips with this, because as we progress into the 60s, lip balms become more and more popular. And by the time you get to the 70s, that's basically all women wear at that point. And then I just shape it with my fingers because it's balm, so make sure I don't get it all over my teeth. And then the way that you don't have to reapply it, you can either use powder and you can pat it with powder and then balm it again, and then that will maintain the color throughout the day. It'll look more matte as the day progresses. But what I like is this Urban Decay D-Slick. It creates a layer of whatever this is on your skin and helps maintain the brightness and the appearance of the makeup throughout the day. It just makes everything sit in place. You just spray it on in an X like this. And then what I will do is I usually don't talk through this, and then I just dry my face with my hands. And then once it's dry, it will basically keep your makeup on all day. It's amazing like that. And that is all I'm gonna wear on my face today. It says, if too much brow is your problem feature, let some of it stay out of sight under a diagonal bandeau of hair. This style by Miss Filk of Bruno's Hair Design in Toronto is set on jumbo and large rollers as shown. When dry, brush out in the lines of set, then lightly back brush crown to add height. Smooth down, bring a bandeau of hair across the brow and tuck the end behind your ear. Flip up the ends. You will notice that in the top of this, then essentially all the way back behind your hair, then they're supposed to be curled underneath like this, except for the very bottom portion. On the very bottom portion, you're supposed to flip up the curls so that when everything comes out, you can shape this top, but then have the flip underneath. It's very easy to achieve this look as long as you flip up the bottoms. So we're gonna focus on doing that, and I'm gonna show you how I roll my hair. I have been using the DRYBAR products, and I will link them in the description. Actually, everything will probably be linked in the description. But I absolutely love this stuff because it's a detangler, but it's also a heat protectant. So if, let's say tomorrow, I decide there are a couple of curlers that just didn't do as well as they should have done, then I can feel okay about putting a little bit of heat on my hair without ruining it. And then brush my hair. This is also a DRYBAR brush. And my hair is a little bit wet from the shower, but it's dried enough that it would pass for dry. And I think that's really important to note because if your hair is too dry, then you won't be able to curl it. Just in general, it'll be too hard to set into curlers. But if your hair is too wet, like if it's dripping, then your hair will never dry. So you have to get to the perfect place where your hair is wet, but really only just a teeny bit damp so that it will set properly. I'll also link this down below because I really like this water bottle. But you can get a water bottle and you can just lightly dampen the sections of hair, and that should wetten it just a little bit without going overboard so that you can manipulate the hair without it taking 3 days to dry. Now on the front for this hairstyle, then you're supposed to curl under, and then the same on the other side of the part. So you should already have your part in place, it looks like, for this particular style. And then you're gonna take the rollers, and you can see from the diagram that you're gonna actually place them like this. So you get no more than an inch worth of hair. If you do more than that, then it just won't set. Make sure that it is as flat as you can get it, and then take the curler, and what I like to do is I like to flip it under like this, all the way around, and then I roll it in on itself a little bit. Then you always get those little stragglers that aren't quite inside the roller, and what you do to fix that is you take the very end of your fine-tooth comb and you just roll them underneath, and then that helps them to maintain that shape. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, well, wait, where's the plastic bit? Because these, of course, are overnight rollers. And I took them out. And the reason for that is because I find that it's way more comfortable to sleep in rollers if the plastic is out and you just use a hairpin to secure it. Okay, so here you can see I just have a standard bobby pin, and I'm gonna take it and just put it right there on the base of that curl, and then it just secures itself into place like that. So here we go. We're gonna do a whole bunch of those on this side now. Now that the front is curled, then I'm going to move to the back and show you what I do there. I don't think that I'm going to put as many curlers in the back as the tutorial suggests, only just because I have a lot of hair, like I said, so I don't really need that extra volume. But if you need to go all the way up to the top, then that works as well. And in fact, if you have thin hair, I would suggest doing so, because that is going to give you that pump of volume on top that you want in a quintessentially 60s hairstyle. So I ran out of space, which means that you didn't get to see me curl the very bottom of my hair, but you can see that I did flip up the very bottom section so that I curled them upward toward my crown, and then everything else is curled downward toward the nape of the neck. And tomorrow we're gonna find out whether or not that actually creates the flip that is in that beautiful picture, which of course I will show you again. right here. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap this up in a kerchief so that I can get on with my day. And I think I might just clean this place up a bit so that hopefully when I film the other half of this tomorrow, it will not be such an incredible mess, but it will probably still be a little bit of a mess. So I'll see you then. Alright, so I'm sure you've noticed, but I have a different outfit on. I also took my bangs that were just kind of bugging me and I turned them into essentially a little bumper bang for myself. It's still gonna maintain the curl, it's just the curlers are gone, so that's nice. What we need for this is dry shampoo. I have been using Detox, and this is also by DRYBAR. This video is by no means sponsored by anyone, but I legitimately love DRYBAR's products, so I will definitely link them below for you. They are fantastic. The other thing that I forgot to mention is Duvolle sent me this, and it is a magnetized, you can kind of feel it, straightener, which I'm gonna use to curl some of those little flyaways before we do anything else. So remember, I already heat protected my hair last night before I went to bed. So now any of these little flyaways, I'm just gonna quickly just fix them essentially before we go any further. And I actually really like this. I've used it a couple times now. I don't generally use heat on my hair, but for quick touch-ups or if you're traveling, this is small, no larger than a regular straightener, and it's kind of on the small side. It's also, I don't know, just really pretty because it's got that kind of metallic shine to it and very easy to use. It's not hot at all on the outside. Even up here, it's only warm to the touch, which is really nice. Got all of the functions on the inside, so it's just got a really nice grip to it as well. I highly recommend so far. I've only used it a couple times, but I like it a lot. But there we go. And again, not sponsored, but they were kind enough to send this to me, so thank you very much, Duvolle, for enhancing my morning routine. So now what we're gonna do is after all of those flyaways are taken care of to the best of your ability, because there will be more and then I'll fix them as I go, then you reveal all of the setting pattern, which has been in here all night. The way that I usually deal with the curlers is I go from the bottom up with the exception of the front. As you can see, I've already kind of got something going on with the front, so I'm just gonna keep it as is. We might adjust it later because of course the setting pattern wants me to take this and like put it behind my ear and flip it out. But I don't know, I kind of like the way that it looks right now, so we might keep it like that. There are no rules here, just experiments. And I'm gonna get the back of my head and we'll see if that little flip happened. But before I do anything, because it's hot and sometimes it's just sweaty outside or even inside, when I have that door closed, then this room can get a little bit stuffy and so I sweat a little bit. So I'm gonna use that Detox and I'm just gonna spray wherever it feels a little bit, like there's some moisture that's accumulated from sweat or what have you. Yeah, it is a little bit powdery, so try to protect your face. But once it feels nice and dry again, shouldn't take too long. Oh, there's still a little wetness right up there. You can also do that with a hairdryer, but since it's heat and I want to put as little heat on my head as possible, then it's just, for me, a better solution, I feel like. Let me get turned around here. We're gonna reveal the back. I don't have high hopes for it, if I'm honest, because as I told you last night, I was only just curling enough to get it about halfway down the head, and it's quite sweaty. But the thing is, it's the back, and I'll be honest with you, when I'm going about my day, when I'm just doing things, take this off, then the back of my head, I don't pay too much attention to. If people are looking at the back of my head, then they should probably be focusing on something else. The other thing I'm gonna go in with before we begin to take the curlers out is some hairspray. I just use the extra firm control hairspray from Tresemme because it comes in giant bottles and it's easy to use. I mean, it also works, so that's nice. And I'm just gonna lightly spray all over my head and then let that dry for a sec before I go any further with unraveling. And if my hair is feeling particularly hard to work with when I'm curling it, I will actually go over it with some of this beforehand too, or put some setting lotion in, but I don't have any setting lotion in right now, so it's literally just the hairspray and the dry shampoo. And of course the heat protectant from last night. And we're just gonna see how it goes. No promises. first things first, you want to brush through them. I have this boar bristle brush that I got from the UK. It's apparently from the brand Flair, but I've never heard of them before, so I just know that boar bristle brush is useful. That's what I'm gonna use to brush this out. And theoretically, it's gonna really cause a little bit of a flip underneath. You just work through and shape however you possibly can. And now we're gonna do the other part that was turned under last night. And I'm gonna go back in with my boar bristle brush again and hopefully brush it so that it flips under. This is just a standard block hairbrush. And I'm going very, very lightly with this. And then the last part is these side areas. I'm gonna go ahead and take those out now and then brush those out as well. All right, first impressions of the front. Is it curly? Yes. Did it curl well? Yes. Is it going to make the shape that picture wants me to make with it? I sort of doubt it, but I'm gonna brush it out anyway and we'll see what happens. Okay, I don't hate it. I actually think it looks really, really nice. It's just that the flip out is not a consistent one. But you know what? That doesn't make it look any less 60s. I feel like this is a very good 60s set and isn't actually too incredibly time intensive either. So there you have it. Did it flip out my hair consistently? No, I think I have so much hair that I think I would need to probably curl it up in 2 rows instead of just the one that I did. But I don't really see, and maybe this is just because I don't have my little mirror with me to see close up, but I don't see any stragglers and everything looks very consistently curled. And that's mostly because of the larger curlers. I use those on top. I only started to use the smaller yellow ones once I was out of the larger ones. So that's something to keep in mind. The larger curlers tend to create that very 50s, 60s, almost seamless looking blowout. It's not as like kinky curled as some of the older styles before then and some of the styles that would come about later in the 80s. And so the larger curler is where it's at. And the larger the better, honestly. Like if you can even find the 2-inch curlers, then that will create an even smoother, larger, almost helmet head type curl look. So if you would like to try it, then let me know how it goes. Please comment, please share what your results are too. And you can use the hashtag CraftyVintageLady. You can also tag me on social media. They're all right here. And yes, I do have TikTok now, so you can absolutely go and follow me on TikTok. Be looking out for more content coming very soon. If you would like to participate in that, then the links are all below. If you liked any of the things that I showed you, then those links are below as well. So finally, down below, tell me which era is your favorite for hair and why. And in the meantime, I will see you again very, very soon. Gotta get that hairspray. Make sure she doesn't come loose.